So your period gives you BV. This is how you stop getting BV after your period. You've been dreading your period all month and she finally shows up. Now your back is hurting you. Your stomach's cramping you. You have that sharp shooting pain going through your butt. You look 5 months pregnant. Your breasts are tender. Your nipples are burning you. Your hormones are raging. And all that's left for you to do is walk on walls. And after all of that, BV has the nerve to show up. But what if I told you that I can tell you exactly what to do to stop BV from recurring every single month after your period? About a year ago, I went into a doctor's live. Girl, I'm always on people's lives, right? Especially if you're an educator, I love to learn. I can't remember if she was on Instagram or TikTok, but the number one question she was being asked is, Doc, how do I get rid of BV after my period? Or how do I stop BV from coming after my period? And girl, she spilled the tea, and that's what I'm about to give to you. Hi, my name is Pia. No, girl, I'm not a doctor or anything like that. I'm a regular girl who solved BV out of sheer desperation after 10 long, terrible years of living in turmoil. And now I run an online community called the V-Spot Sisterhood for women who are struggling with recurring BV and need help healing it. This is a community of amazing women who are transforming their lives. So if you want to be a part of the sisterhood and get access to the routines and strategies that I use to heal and get rid of BV for good, and be a part of a supportive, judgment-free tribe, then I encourage you to check out the information in my description box below. In this video, we'll be discussing 3 main points: why BV shows up after your period, how to manage BV when it does show up after your period, and some of the best foods you can eat to support your vaginal health when you are struggling with BV. So to move forward, let's first take a step back. We're going to talk about the vaginal microbiome because it's going to kind of help you to understand everything. So the vaginal microbiome is like the ecosystem for your vagina. That's where all the bacteria lives. That's where all the fungi lives. That's where everything that lives in your vagina exists, in the vaginal microbiome. Now, let's move forward. The vaginal microbiome is always fluctuating depending on kind of like where we are in life. The vaginal microbiome will adjust if we are going through puberty. The vaginal microbiome adjusts if we are pregnant. It adjusts if we're going through menopause. It adjusts if we are stressed. Like, the vaginal microbiome is constant. It's continuously playing this balancing act in order to ensure that our vagina is healthy. This means that your vagina or vaginal microbiome is always adjusting for you, right? Which is great. We want that. Now, when the vaginal microbiome, which we just talked about, when it is healthy, it is considered, or when it is balanced, it has a pH between 3.8 and 4.5. This is considered acidic, and we want the vagina to be acidic, right? We want it to be in an acidic state because it makes it inhospitable for like sneaky little bugs or bacteria or fungi to exist in there. So we love an acidic vagina between 3.8 and 4.5. When we menstruate, blood has a pH of about 7.4. So it's like neutral. It has a pH of 7.4. When blood passes through the vaginal canal, it raises the pH of your vaginal microbiome. So if your pH is like chilling at like 3.8, when blood, which has a pH of like 7.4, passes through, maybe it's going to raise it to 4.5. I don't know. Right? But we know that it's going to raise it simply because blood has a higher pH. And let me tell you how a doctor explained it. The same doctor I spoke about in my intro. So this is how she explained it. She says sometimes, we're good. We're balanced. So our pH is existing, like say for instance, so my pH is between 3.8 and 4.5. And say I tested and it's at 4.4, right? When I menstruate, like when I have my period, I know blood has a higher pH. That blood now raises my 4.4 to, I don't know, let's put a number out there, like 5.5. That is now how BV is triggered, because the vagina is not acidic anymore. And if the vagina is less acidic, it is more favorable for those bugs, bacteria, fungi, and all of those stuff to start sneaking in and start to grow. So this is why sometimes you get BV after your period. So she said a lot of times we are kind of like on the cusp of being imbalanced, or for our pH to be imbalanced, but we're not necessarily there. Whereas somebody now, maybe that person has a pH of like, I don't know, like 4, right? And then they get their period, but it raises it to 4.5. You're still within that range, so you're fine. Do you understand? So that's why some people may get it while others don't. Some people are literally on the cusp. So if you're already existing with if your pH is balanced, but it's really just on the cusp of like being imbalanced, so it's like at 4.4, 4.5, now you get your period, bang. The blood pushes it over the edge, and now this is how you get bacterial vaginosis, because now the vagina is not as acidic as it should be. It's kind of like a challenge that I've seen on TikTok. Like you have a glass of water and you fill it all the way to the top. But now you and your friends have to kind of use the tap to put just the tad bit amount before it spills over. So think about your pH like that. So your pH is that glass of water. And if you put too much tap water in it, if you open the tap too much and put too much water in it, it's gonna spill right over. Whereas you'll see people do that challenge and I'm like, how is this glass not spilling over? I don't understand. So some of us are on just the cusp, just like that. Whereas like if you get the tad bit of period blood, you're going over the edge. And then hence why BV creeps in, which sucks. But girl, we're gonna talk about what you can do about this. Now, there's nothing you can really do to prevent your period blood from raising the pH of your vaginal microbiome. Like it's just not something that you can do or you can help, because that's just a natural part of the process. It is what it is. Your period blood will always raise the pH of your vaginal microbiome when it passes through the vaginal canal. It's just what it is. However, let's talk about what you can do if you're one of the girlies who struggle with your period, struggle with BV after your period. Number 1, go to the doctor. Now, I know a lot of you don't want to hear this because you're probably saying, I've been to the doctor a million times. They're not helping me. Nothing they're giving me is working. So like, this is pointless. You telling me to go to the doctor. Been there, done that, and they've done nothing for me. However, medicine has a place in this world. It really does. Granted, I solved BV on my own through research and just figuring it out and just kind of like trial and error type of thing. At the end of the day though, if I had the option, like it not even had the option, because the option was there, because I had gotten a lot of medication. It just never worked for me. But girl, I would have given anything to fall within the category of women who do get the medication and it does work for them. So I always tell people, like, don't just swear off the doctor, be like, oh my goodness, they never have it, they never help you when it comes to BV, they don't know what to do, their heads are spinning, da 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 da. I get it, but what if you're one of the few women who the medication actually works for? Girl, you're winning. You are winning. And here you are trying all the natural remedies, turning your life upside down, living in turmoil, literally hating life, when had you gone to the doctor could have given you something and it would have fixed it right away. I know when it comes to BV, whatever the doctor is giving us isn't helping. But there is a percentage of women that it does help. There is a place for medicine in this world. So I always suggest, if you have BV, girl, go to the doctor and take the medication, because if it works for you, you are winning. Because if it worked for me, I would have been winning. Because living with BV for 10 plus years, I wouldn't bet on my worst enemy. So if you're somebody who struggles with BV after your period, my number 1 suggestion would be to go to the doctor, get the medication, and take it as directed, girl. It may work for you. And if so be the case, girl, you're that girl. You're winning. As the girlies who it doesn't work for, believe me, we are not enjoying this constant, like, trying to figure it out, seeing if that works, getting your hopes up, hoping this works, this doesn't work, trying another thing, wasting all this money. It is not a pleasant experience. So go to the doctor, take the medication, and if it works for you, I'm happy for you. Okay. My second suggestion is to wait it out. If your period triggers BV, wait it out. Most of the time, it literally just clears up on its own, right? The reason why, it goes back to what I explained to you. It's because once the blood passes through, it's going to raise your pH. But once your period's finished, then your pH is going to get back down to its normal levels and you're going to be fine. So this is the reason why you're probably not going to be struggling with BV for long. So if this is you, then girl, then just wait it out. Just wait it out. In a couple of days, your pH is going to go back to normal and BV is going to be gone. So my second suggestion is just to wait it out. And I know it's easier said than done because I've been there, done that, and live just existing, going through your day with bacterial vaginosis is one of the worst experiences I've ever had in my life. So I know what you're going through, but wait it out. So the moment can pass and then you can just go about your life. Okay, so now let's talk about the foods you can eat to help you to not get BV every single month after your period. So do you remember in the intro I mentioned the doctor whose live I went in just to obviously learn from her because I love learning about this stuff. And one of the number one questions she was being asked was, hey, I'm getting BV after my period every single month. What can I do about it? So there's two things that she suggested. I'm gonna leave the best for last. Number one, she suggested taking a probiotic. She's like, take a probiotic to help create space for like the good bacteria that you could possibly be lacking. So take a good probiotic. If you've been on my TikTok, you guys know what I'm going to say. Take a probiotic that has Lactobacillus crispus. And not all probiotics are created equally. That's another video for another time. We will get to that soon. But make sure you're taking a good probiotic. The second thing she said, which was like everything, she said, eat fiber. She said, girl, fiber should be your very best friend. She said, fiber is a prebiotic. And what a prebiotic is, a prebiotic feeds your probiotic. So a lot of times you're taking a probiotic and you're like, man, my probiotic isn't working. It's not that the probiotic isn't working. It's because you are not eating the foods to support the probiotic. And foods that support probiotic are called prebiotics. Or even if you don't take your probiotic, just eating fiber feeds the good bacteria in your gut in general. So even if you're not even taking a probiotic, eating fiber is great, or one of the number one things you want to do if you are struggling with BV every single month after your period, because fiber feeds the good bacteria that is in our gut. Fiber feeds the good bacteria that is in our vagina. So when we eat fiber, fiber feeds the good bacteria, and when the good bacteria gets food, it multiplies, she gets big, she gets nice, she gets round and sexy. Like she just starts to multiply, like she just starts to live and do her best thing. She thrives. She's thriving when she gets fiber. So girl, start to eat more fiber. Start putting more fiber in your diet. That is one of the best ways to stop getting BV after your period, because it is going to give you, it's going to start feeding the good bacteria. Because remember I said to you, you're probably on the cusp, right? You're probably on the cusp of being imbalanced. Like your pH is probably at like 4.4 or 4.5. That means that there's good bacteria in there for sure, but that means that like it's being overcrowded just a smidget by the not so nice bacteria. So if you start eating fiber now you start feeding the good bacteria that is in your vaginal microbiome. It starts to thrive and multiply, and it will crowd out all of that excess, or not even excess, but it will crowd out the not so nice bacteria and become the dominant bacteria in your vaginal microbiome. Hence, your pH won't be on the cusp anymore. It'll probably come down to a more balanced state, like probably to like a 4, right? So, fiber. If you are struggling with BV after your period, girl, just eat some more fiber. Now, the average person should be taking in 25 grams or 30 grams of fiber per day. I highly suggest that you guys start paying more attention to the fiber that you are eating, because it will help your vagina to thrive. I can definitely go into a video about like fibrous foods and stuff like that. So let me know if that's something that's interesting to you in the comments. Let's go over what we spoke about today. We spoke about the fact that your period is possibly triggering BV because you are on the cusp of your vaginal microbiome, or well, your pH being out of balance. Your pH should be between 3.8 and 4.5, which is an acidic state, which is great. We want our vagina to be acidic, but sometimes we're kind of on like the 4.4, the 4.5. And when we get our period, it raises the pH of the vagina. For those of you who are on the cusp of being imbalanced, now you're no longer between a range of 3.8 and 4.5, you're way over 4.5. And now your vagina is no longer acidic, which makes it more favorable for bacteria, fungi, and all those little like pesky ugly things that we don't want in there to start growing out of control. And this is the reason why your period triggers BV. If that is the case, you can go to the doctor to get medication for it, or girl, you can just wait it up because it usually passes anyways. Because once your period's done, your pH will get back to where it was. And in most cases, BV will just go away. And finally, we spoke about the fact that not me, but a doctor recommended that eating fiber is one of the best things you can do if you struggle with this issue, because fiber feeds the good bacteria in our gut, feeds the good bacteria in our vagina. So the more fiber we eat, the more the good bacteria flourishes and thrives and multiply, and we want that. And that's it. I hope you learned something new today, but girl, we still have lots to talk about. So I'll talk to you soon.